Welcome back. I thought I'd talk today a little bit about the C8 Corvette that was just released. I kind of put myself out of my comfort zone. I thought, hey, I could stay home, I could watch it on my own and kind of make some videos while we do it maybe, but then I got invited to a release party at a dealership, so I thought, you know what, maybe I need to get out and I need to stretch my wings into the Corvette crowd a little bit more. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, you know I love Corvettes. I've always loved Corvettes. 3 years old, told a salesman I was buying a Corvette. Still wish I was buying a Corvette. Love my Camaro, it's been a great car, but it is not a Corvette. So the whole premise of the mid-engine was pretty exciting. I'm not a purist as to what a Corvette needs to be. I just love the premise of the Corvette, the looks, the price, the performance, and the kind of ambiance that comes with it. So I was pretty excited about it. Been following it for the last number of years when they had a Holden Ute, but they had put a motor in the back and it was pretty shabby, all the way up until the final release on July 18th. So today I would like to talk about the 5 things that I really don't like about the C8 Corvette. And to be perfectly honest, I've spent a few days combing through every piece of information I could find so that I could really put together a strong list, and almost none of the things I dislike about the car have anything to do with the car. But I will make another video on everything I like about the car. Stay tuned for that. So, number 1 that I do not like about the C8 Corvette for 2020 is the presentation. I don't understand why at 11 p.m. Eastern, where I was standing when the car was released, I had to wait 30 minutes and hear about the feats of man in space. I think space is cool. I think space travel is cool. But they are not building a spaceship. I understand it was the 50th anniversary of walking on the moon. That is very cool. But Chevrolet did not put the man on the moon. They are building cars, like normal cars, for people to drive. And I understand that astronauts drive them, but so do celebrities and doctors and lawyers and plumbers. I mean, to me, it's not a spaceship. I get it, cool. We're doing a space thing. I give you 3 minutes, and then after that, move on to something else. We had to hear like 30 minutes of the space thing, which I thought was a little blah. Number 2 was how boring the whole introduction presentation was. After about an hour, they started talking some numbers and some features and some specifics. And I was just so bored out of my mind. I'd been standing there with the camera for an hour waiting to know anything about this car. And we were still, talking about the feats of man. And it just, quite frankly, and it came up because I was in some Instagram chats with a few of my different groups, by the 20-minute mark, Mopar would be doing a burnout, jumping across from skyscraper to skyscraper, doing wheelies. They would be doing something, and the crowd would be going ballistic. No, they drive the cars out at 1 kilometer an hour, park it, and let it rotate back and forth on a turntable and attempt to do some VR. And they talked about it like it was revolutionary because they obviously never played Pokemon Go, which I never played Pokemon Go either, but I do know it's a thing and not a new thing. Number 3, Zora. They talked about him. They praised him to the high heavens. Zora is our savior. Zora is the grandfather of the Corvette. Zora made it fast. Zora did it. Like, could they not have just called it a Zora? Like, it didn't seem like that far-fetched. It didn't seem that unrealistic. If the man is that incredibly passionate about it, McLaren calls their fastest track car the Senna after a race car driver because he put McLaren on the map on a lot of different avenues. Cool. The man deserves it. Zora deserves it. I mean, they tell a story about how he met Zora at a swap meet, signing autographs and buying car parts and doing this. Like, obviously he was an enthusiast. Obviously he is the grandfather of the Corvette and he deserves the name. Number 4, social media influencers that went to the event. I absolutely refuse to watch Shmee 150's video. He has his taste in cars and does his things with cars, and he owns a Ford GT, I am aware, but he really does not like American cars. He would never buy one. They're not enough, in my opinion, for him. He just is, and I know he has a Ford Focus RS and he's dumped a ton of money into it. He's doing all kinds, but it just, I don't know. I guess I don't understand why things like the Camaro and the Corvette are having such poor market sales, and then I see what they do to promote it, and it's like the big YouTubers that buy multiple GM cars and promote the fan base and build the fan base do not get invited. That I will never understand. And number 5, which still has to do with the launch event. I know, I get it. This isn't stuff you really don't like about the car. There's not that much known about the car. And after everything I went through, I was thoroughly impressed with the entire package of the car, which would have been a different story had it been more expensive, but it wasn't. So that made it even more impressive. So number 5, they did not show a Z06. I understand they launch base model and they work themselves up the tiers. I get it. I understand why they do that. They can start getting money in and continue development and grow it. I get it. But the Z06, which isn't the daddy Corvette, it's not even the track Corvette. It's just usually just a street monster that does really well on the track. I feel like would have put it over the top. They brought out 3 of the same car in 3 different colors, red, white, and blue, which was cool, but I wanted to see a little bit more. The base model has 495 horse. They could have teased at a Z06. It's going to be north of 700. It's going to be, because all I've heard is it's going to be 1,000 horsepower with front wheel electric drive, and like everybody's imaginations are running rampant. And it would have been kind of cool. It'd be like, hey, this is the Stingray. It's wild and crazy and fun and affordable. But there's also going to be the Z06, and it's wild and fun and crazy and affordable. But I don't know. It didn't feel like they really shared enough. It was focused on golf bags, a removable roof, more color options, which I get is important stuff. And the buying market for Corvettes is an older crowd, and that stuff all matters to them. But the enthusiast side didn't really get much. We just got hinted at. So we have to now wait probably a year to find out more about a Z06 or other future models. So I do very much like the C8. I just thought after decades, it is the #1 front paged car on car magazines that was never released, has now been released. And to bring it out in that fashion, it just didn't feel substantial enough or memorable. I went to the dealership with this mindset. I missed the Mustang. I was, came out in the 50s, so I was at least 30 years behind even being a baby at the event. And the dealerships had hot dogs, and they brought everybody out. They got them all excited, and we're going to have this big reveal event, and they revealed this new Mustang, and everybody cheered, and it sold really, really well, and it was really cool. So this, to me, was my era's version of that. Coming forward another, 30 years past my birth date, never mind the 60 years that the Mustang's been doing Mustang things and killing people. So I went, and I was just brutally disappointed, and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And we waited till 7 p.m. their time, which was 10 p.m. our time, which for some reason ended up being 11. I guess I got miscommunicated on my numbers, but it was just really, really late. It was late for the West Coast. It was late for the East Coast. And I don't know. I was just disappointed. I wanted more out of the experience of experiencing the car for the first time than just that. And that's all I'm going to have for the rest of my life. They have a C9. It's even more ridiculous. It's fully electric. It does 1 billion miles an hour in 1 second and all that. Fantastic. But my first impression was waiting. And we went to space, and I was in space for a while. And great. You had a great career. I'm very happy for you. I'm glad they came home safely. But I'm here for a car. It's still just a car. That's it from me. Till next time, drive safe, take care, and behave. as always,